So Speaker Pro Tem Johnson. Ms. Pryor on the bill. Oh, Ms. Smith on the bill, excuse me. I said Ms. Pryor, I'm used to Ways and Means.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is House Bill number 8. It provides for the districts for election of the justices of the Supreme Court.
Mr. Speaker Pro Tem, on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. Good morning. I hope you've thawed out and you're in a warm mood. I'm here at the table with me is Justice Will Crane from the Louisiana Supreme Court. And we're here today. I know you've heard a lot about it. A lot about the Supreme Court districts and our need to redraw them for several reasons. We have to address a severe population imbalance between the current districts. We have 2 Supreme Court districts that are nearly 2 times larger than the smallest. Other states with Supreme Court districts that were redistricted after recent census, but we ignored the problem in the past. It has only been, as the governor talked about yesterday, the Supreme Court has only been redistricted one time in 100 years, 103 years. And the last time we redrew the districts was as a result of consent order, and that was 30 years, with data from 30 years ago. We have one district with 476,000 people and another with 838,000 people. That means that votes in one area count for half the votes of other parts of the state. That's simply unfair to the people of this state, and it's well past time that we fix it. And you're here today to help do that. I listened yesterday as our governor stated that our Supreme Court districts have only been redistricted one time in the last 103 years. And that's why we have the most unequal districts in America. And it's a wrong that we now need to right. Second, we have spent literally millions of dollars defending a federal lawsuit, asking for a second majority black state Supreme Court district. We recently lost our congressional redistricting suit in all practical purposes, and we'll have to enact 2 additional districts out of our 6 congressional districts. So it's pretty simple that if we have to do 2 districts out of 6, that we will have to do 2 after 7. So the question of whether we need to do this is really answered and clear. As the governor said, I want to get us out from under this litigation. The court has come to a consensus, and he respects it. And I agree with our governor. Third, the state constitutional commands that the terms of any sitting justice not be cut short or in jeopardy if we follow any other plan, because we have justices whose seats are up in 2024, one, and who is limited from seeking re-election. The timing of this special session is therefore ideal to address these concerns and to deal with that district. The time has come for us to come together, handle our business, and act now to put this issue to bed. Those of you who, and there's several of you who served on this committee, and several of you who were in the legislature last year know that redistricting is hard. It always has been, it always will be. But just like we did in our own redistricting, when there is an open seat, a term-limited seat, you try to use that timing where you can to move things around, to make it work. as I mentioned, one of the reasons why we need to do this now is because there is an open seat, one open seat that happens to be in Shreveport, which I understand some of my friends in that area don't particularly like. I certainly understand that. But if it's not done now, it will have to be done in another area where there are justices that still have time left on their term, which will cause us considerably more problems, more difficulties, more delays. We have a solution, and that solution and our participation in that solution came about several years ago when we, Senate resolution, but our legislature sent a request to the Supreme Court asking them to redistrict the map. Now, they've worked on that for several years, and that was a hard task. Their districts were at least 30 years out of date and very unequal. And to their credit, they worked diligently and studied the options trying to fulfill our request. Ultimately, a supermajority of the Supreme Court justices agreed to recommend the map that is contained in this bill. This includes Justice Piper Griffin, who represents our only current majority-minority district. The proposal reflects the complex process of compromise and our judiciary coming together on this important issue. Today's bill fixes our two major problems: ending the litigation hanging over our heads and fixing the unfairness of our unequal districts. It provides a map that looks more like the people of Louisiana and ensures our compliance with the Voting Rights Act. We are the people who were sent here to handle this and to handle these issues, and we should handle our business before a federal judge does. For that reason, I joined the governor, who in his words in his opening session urged us to adopt this map for the Supreme Court. And with that, I would ask for favorable passage of HB 8, and am open to any questions that I or Justice Crane can answer.
Justice Crane, you want to just identify yourself just for the records, that way in case anyone has questions for you?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, my name is is Will Crane. I am the Louisiana Supreme Court Justice serving District 1 on the Supreme Court.
Thank you. Representative Marcel for a question.
Thank you. First of all, let me thank you, Mr. Pro Tem, for your work on this matter, and thank the justices for coming together to fix a problem. Not having a majority-minority second seat in this state was absolutely wrong. It's been 100+ years, as you stated, and I believe that you are doing the right thing to correct that. I've seen some other legislation that's floating. I believe that this is the best possible fix. And when you look at the judicial system and the judges, and when they can come together and say, this is what we all agree upon, I think that's very important. I wish we could do that here as legislators. Come together and say, this is how we fix this. It has to be fixed, and this is what we do to fix it. The population imbalance exists. It's not a myth. We didn't make it up. We didn't dream it up. There is a population imbalance. This fixed that population imbalance, and the problem has been ignored for too long. I believe that this open seat provides us the opportunity to fix this matter, and it takes us, and for the fiscal conservatives, this stops us from paying the money that we have been paying in litigation forever, and we've not gotten to a resolve. I think that this is the best foot that we could put forward, And I really commend you for doing it, because there is never a wrong time to do what is right. And so at the proper time, I'd like to move your bill favorably.
Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Marcel. Mr. Pro Tem, Representative Marcel talked about the population imbalance. I know the governor has been clear that he wanted to keep the deviation within 5%, although the Supreme Court has a different standard than we have for Congress or even for the legislature. Can you maybe elaborate more a little bit on your map and if it complies with keeping within that deviation and the importance of that?
Yes, sir. I believe that it does keep within that 5% plus or minus.
Okay,
in
good.
every district.
All right, excellent. Representative Gadberry?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Supreme Court judges' terms are staggered.
Yes,
Is
sir.
that correct?
Yes, sir.
So by this redistricting, is it going to mess anyone up? They will continue to serve their term out
Yes, sir.
prior to.
And that's one of the reasons why this is so important, because if we change the districts, we would perhaps deprive them of representing the districts that they were elected before their term was up. By taking this approach, we avoid that and do not disrupt the rest of the state as far as those justices who are incumbents.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Representative Gadberry. Representative Larverdane?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to thank Representative Mike Johnson and the judge for doing the right thing. I've got a question for Judge Guidry. Can I ask him to come to the table if possible?
Judge Guidry, please introduce yourself for the record. Oops.
John Michael Guidry, I'm Chief Judge of Louisiana First Circuit Court of Appeal.
Thank you, Judge Guidry. 1 second, Rep. Larverdane, I turned you off.
Okay.
You're
Good
on.
morning, Judge Guidry.
Good morning.
You're on the Second Circuit?
First Circuit.
First Circuit?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How many African American judges on that First Circuit?
I'm the only African American judge of the 12 judges of the First Circuit.
So it's time to move in the right direction. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. A similar situation, of course, exists on the Louisiana Supreme Court. There's only one African American justice on the court. This legislation will provide for a meaningful opportunity, the best opportunity of all of the legislation, it seems, that's before your body during this special session. In order to accomplish that, I have worked with the African American judges in East Baton Rouge Parish. Judge Ebony Johnson Rose is here today. We've sent some information to you where we've analyzed the legislation that's before the special session. This particular bill, House Bill 8, is the best opportunity to help the administration of justice, to give us districts that are equal. It will give us an opportunity to elect an African-American judge out of a district based in East Baton Rouge Parish without disturbing the rest of the judiciary because, of course, as pointed out, Justice Creighton cannot run for re-election. And so we have a chance to comply with the Voting Rights Act. We have a chance to stop the bleeding in terms of the state dollars that have gone to defend this matter in the federal lawsuit, put an end to the federal lawsuit, have districts that are more equal in population, not disturb the current justices who are incumbents, and have an opportunity to have an election this fall. Justice delayed is justice denied. We want this needs to happen. It needs to happen in this upcoming election cycle, and that will allow for us to have a judiciary that is more representative of the state. And I think that's in the best interest of the administration of justice.
And with your expertise, you're a well-learned jurist, this map that you see, which is Supreme Court District 2, this will perform.
Yes, sir. I, as a former member of the House of Representatives, a former member of the State Senate, I've gone through the redistricting process. This meets all of the criteria. It will be in compliance with the Voting Rights Act, and it's one, I believe, that will ultimately end the litigation and move the state forward.
And you've had a conversation with other African-American judges, and they also agree with this map?
Yes, we met the African-American judges in East Baton Rouge Parish where the district will be based, and the judges have signed on to a letter that says that based on our analysis of the legislation that's before you, and particularly this piece of legislation, then this legislation will accomplish, we believe, compliance with the Voting Rights Act and to make sure the districts of the Supreme Court are more equal in population and more representative of our populace.
I think you've got the longest, you got the seniority on the Court of Appeals. We've never had a second African-American judge on the Supreme Court. Is that correct?
That's correct. I am the longest-serving Court of Appeal judge in the state of Louisiana.
And
This
how many
will be
years is that?
My 27th year.
And how many years is that, sir?
Sir,
17?
say again.
How many years have you served on the Court of Appeals?
This will be my 27th year. Yes, sir.
right,
I
thank-
left the Senate and went straight to the Court of Appeal right across the lake.
Thank you for your service.
Thank
Rep.
you.
Johnson, thank you. It's a great bill. We'll work with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Representative Johnson, the board is clear. There are no witness cards from what I can see. Would you like to close on your bill?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I simply ask you to do the right thing at the right time, which is now, and support favorable passage.
Representative Johnson has moved that we report House Bill 8 favorably. Is there any objection? Representative Johnson and Representative Marcel moved that it was moved favorably.
Thank you.
Hearing no objection, House Bill 8 is reported favorably. Thank you, Representative Johnson. Thank you, judges. We appreciate your testimony.
Thank you.